What's up, y'all? It's Matt. I've got another game. I'll be playing Sam Masling this time. He is NASPA rated about 1500 and quickly on the rise. I think he's gained rating in his last like 17 tournaments or something absurd like that. Fernie jumps out as an option right away. It's 30. Pretty sure this rack doesn't bingo. Don't think I've got a 6 in this rack. Or 6 using the F and the Y at least. Maybe just not a 6 at all. Yep, Fernie it's gonna be. Interestingly, pull into the J and the X at the same time, so I'll be scoring pretty well next turn, ideally. One tile off from fajita, which is really interesting because I just ate a big meal of fajitas. So Scrabble works in crazy ways sometimes. Actually, aside from that, I'm kind of lacking for options. I've got maybe Jura available or Jurat. Fixate's going to be mediocre, but it gives up enormous plays back on top. And the X is much stronger than the J. Raj is nice if he doesn't have an A, but that doesn't happen too often. Alright, we'll see what kind of plays he's given me. He's given me a spot to play Jew. But he's also just given me a spot to play Jew. That's nice and defensive. It makes it tough for him to play on this side with the U there, and I keep that X. So it's going to be hard to find a play that tops that. I'll spend just a little bit of time, but I think I'm going to be making that play. Maybe there's a J play along here. I don't think so. Yeah, Taxi is terrible. I like JEU a lot. That X is going to be really nice for me to hit next turn. So, and maybe Sam makes a play up here that gives me a bomb back. Yep, I'm going to do this. Didn't exactly pull what I wanted, but Taxi is going to be a decent play out of this rack. It's going to get maybe 40 points. Or maybe I can just put down Tax. I'd rather play off the I here. Maybe I wouldn't, actually. It's going to lead to a more closed board than Taxi, which sets up bingo lines here for him and S spots here for him. Same deal with TAXA. It doesn't take the S on the back, but it is more conducive to bingos here. Maybe Tax is the right thing to do. I'd rather not hold ABIT as opposed to ABT, but we'll see what his next play does for the shape of the board before we make that decision. I don't think there's much else to see here. Axite is a possibility if he somehow disrupts this spot, but he doesn't. Don't have any good plays available up here except Bat, but there's no reason to do that at all. So that leaves me with the choice between Tax and Taxi. From an equity perspective, Taxi is going to be better. But for a shape of the board thing, there's a decision to be made here. Hop looks a little bit like a fishing play, but given the shape of the board, it could just be a I'm getting rid of a bunch of clunky tiles right now play. None of those tiles are going to go down here. That's really the only spot for Sam to play. So maybe it's slightly above average that he's got an S, but between Tax and Taxi, that's tough. The bingo line becomes a much smaller concern because shop is now available and it's not going anywhere for the time being. So I feel like it's okay to run with the equity here and just grab the points, grab the better play. That's what I'll do, and I will not draw another Val this turn, so I kind of wish I had kept that I now. Again, it's dumb to play results-based Scrabble. You know, I pulled 4 consonants, so I should have kept that extra vowel last turn. No, I don't think you should have, but it is unfortunate. I've got plays out of the rack. I've got CZAR. I've got Zag. Both of those set the Z in a pretty terrible place for me, but at least I can score 30 points from a pretty terrible rack. I've also got a C for chop up here. Maybe, I mean, a play like Bracht doesn't warrant making right now, but hold on to that C for a turn or two, and maybe I'll draw something that goes up there. It makes it worthwhile. The tendencies about Sam. I know Sam used to be a pretty bingo-oriented player, but in recent years, or I guess in the last year or so, that has changed a lot. So I can't exploit him like I would have in the past. He's got a bingo with both of the blanks. It's unfortunate for me. It's 74. I'll be in the lead after this, so it's not devastating at all. I have BZAR available for 32. I have ads available for 39, but that leaves an abysmal leave, BCGRT. And I've still got ZAG or ZAR. I think last time I typed it with the T. BGT is just so clunky. But it's going to be tough for Sam to do anything except maybe a little dinky play here for 28 or 30. So the counters aren't that big just because the C is there. 36 points holding BGT. 32 points holding CGT, which is, just as icky. And ads' leave is so bad that it doesn't warrant being made. I'm going to run with ZAR here. And I do draw 3 vowels this time, so I get out of that rack. That's nice. I'm pretty sure this rack won't bingo with any 8s. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. I've drawn an S for taxis. Segway's there for 33 now, but I don't know if I want to blow up the rack and score 33 and give Sam an E to work with. With no vowel or with no blanks, and seeing the worries about Sam bingoing have gone down pretty dramatically. We'll see if I can apply anything from his next turn, but Segway looks like a strong initial option. Sam exchanges 4. Nah, I don't. In exchange 4, if it were an exchange 3 or 2, I'd be kind of worried about his leave. If it were 5 or 6, he's probably just keeping 1 or 2 alright tiles. But a 4, I guess he could be holding something like an ERT combination, which he's going to bingo more often with that, but not dramatically more. It could be ERS, and that would be pretty bad. Or I'm not exactly sure what I should read out of that. I don't think I have any decent play down from the D. I don't think I've got a random double-double through the PE. And any plays up here or through this R are just not going to score enough. I just don't see any plays that make sense to make except Segway. So I'm going to do it. This rack looks strangely familiar to me. I feel like it'll 8 with something. I don't think it's going to... Oh, BRUITED. Pretty sure that's a word. I hope that's a word, otherwise I look like a moron. It's one of those, thankfully that word doesn't play situations, so I don't have to decide if it's a word or not, because I can't play it anyway. It's really annoying not knowing any words. I get anxious about things like this all the time across the board, and I just shouldn't have to. If I weren't so lazy and I put in some more time and learned some more words, then all these issues would go away. Sam's just given me a spot to play it. I have to play it very fast because Sam won't know if it's if I spin a while and then play it. I feel like the odds of him thinking it's a phony go up. I do think it's a word. More likely than not, it is. I'd put it at like 80%, maybe 90%. And just let them all know that I'm recording right now, so he stops talking. I have this queue. The queue has always kind of been the bane of my game. I never know when I'm supposed to get rid of the queue and when I'm supposed to play through it. when I'm supposed to exchange with it. I've got a play available like mini for 26. ELR is nice, but that Q is just so clunky with it. I can play Quay or Query. That's 19 and it gets rid of the Q, but the leave is not good anymore. I could just dump the Q for 11. Oh, wow. Nice play, Sam. I thought I had this board, decently closed. I don't. Pellerine, I'm quite certain, means a cape. It is a noun, so that does take the S. Sometimes the any word won't take the S. That one does, I'm pretty sure. So that changes the Q play. I've drawn, or I've got Ulims for 37 or 39. I'm pretty sure YLEM takes the S. 95% sure it does. I don't think I've got any sort of like play from the S. Ulims is going to score better than anything else I can find. And if I draw an I next turn, I get QI for a bunch if Sam doesn't block. He's probably going to go over here. Actually, I get QI over here too, so that's nice. Come on, let's get an I. Nope, no I. That's alright. The Q's actually become a decent tile to keep because... Oh, that was a typo. Didn't notice I did that. Thank you for passing back, Sam. And I will make the correct play this time. And how important, because I did draw an I, so that's nice. Now I've got 46 points available here, I've got 50 points available here, and I'm suddenly in a great position. Very glad I made that typo. Again, that's the type of strategy I'm the master of. There's some plays in Scrabble that are just beautiful. QI right here is going to close off a lot of his best bingo lines. Just leave him with this E, and that bingo won't net him 60 points. It's not strong. And this E, and unless it ends with the E or starts with the E, it'll also just net him like 60 points. Closes off the best spots for him to bingo, and gets 46 points, and gets rid of the Q all at once. It's like, yes, yes. For some reason, if I really didn't want to keep the T's, I guess cat is an option, but that's just something you should never play. I do have the decision now between playing QI for 46 and playing QI for 50. And that's going to be pretty tough. I was kind of expecting him to play in one of the two spots. There's only one E left in the entire pool, and E's... It's not a perfect rule, but they're a pretty good indicator of how likely your opponent is to bingo. E's, S's, and blanks. No blanks out, just one E. I don't think I have to worry about Sam bingoing that much. In which case, I just want to keep grabbing points as fast as I can. This spot's going to be pretty easy to block in future turns. Maybe not with the leave like NRTTT, but... I'll find something to do about the spot. Yeah, I mean, there's some big word I can draw through the eye. I'm going to grab the extra 4 points here and just keep running from Sam. It might not be the right thing to do, but if I score 46 here and then he gets a cheap 40 here, he could just catch up. And that's not a situation I want to get into. Of course I draw 2 vowels on that, because that's just the way I draw tiles. So that's nice. It makes this next turn easier. I could play something like tritone. It'll just completely clear the rack. Get rid of all these one-pointers. If you've watched past videos, you've probably seen by now that I really try to avoid keeping things like INRT, because a lot of the time you just get 3 more one-pointers, but you can't bingo, and you have to score 12 or 14, and it's really annoying, and I just try and get rid of this stuff as fast as I can. And obviously everything is situational, but if I somehow get a G strung out for me and get trotting, that would be incredible, but really don't see that happening. These are obviously the primary bingo lines. I can shut them down with a play like not. Tritone's also going to do a pretty decent job of it because he's going to have to bingo now from one of these tiles. A play like read from Sam really does imply that he's keeping well. Quite well. So I really want to start thinking about knocking out bingo lines. I would say the E is the most conducive tile for him to bingo with, but the E, his bingos will score very little. Whereas the I is a little bit harder for him to bingo with, but the bingos will score more, so I think this is still my primary focus. Coupled with an N versus a U, I think this is definitely the spot I want to be blocking if I'm blocking a spot. Tritone is not the perfect block. It still allows bingos from these tiles here, but it really makes a bingo for Sam less likely. If he does have bingo-y tiles, then that means all of this clunky stuff, B, C, G, H, K, L, W, W, V, V, is in the bag still. And if I play off a lot of tiles all at once, I'm probably going to get a lot of that all at once. Oh, I didn't notice that he can also go through this R. That would score a lot, but is pretty unlikely. Not pretty unlikely, but unlikely. Tritone just seems like the strongest thing to do, though. Oh, well, taught now is available. I didn't have TE earlier, but with T, I TED. It's funny because INRT is just the leave I called out for not wanting to keep. Don't really need to play for equity right now. Interesting. I guess taught down here is also an option. It's more defensive, but gives Sam points in a lot of spots. You know, if Sam has a really nice rec, he's probably bingoing regardless. I'm going to go ahead and play Tritone, and we'll see what Sam is able to do in response. It's good that I didn't draw a terrible rack. Sometimes when you play off 6 tiles, you draw just some really unfortunate combinations. This is nice and balanced. It's not the perfect rack, but I'm not crippled by any means on this next play. I'm still sitting at a pretty comfortable lead. I'm up 86. So in the driver's seat, even if Sam does get a bingo down, I'm still in the driver's seat in this game. So that's nice. And Sam didn't draw bingo. He pulled VO probably on his 2-tile fish. Now I have to decide what to block next. This is where a lot of players, I think, would very quickly play UH. They think ABENT, that's nice and balanced, I'll do it. Yeah, that's the equity play to make. But we don't need equity right now. Not at all. We need to win the game right now. And I think the best play to win the game is going to be something that knocks out this E down here. And I actually don't think we're going to have a word that is capable of doing that very well. We have to play on this side of the G with the A. But, I mean, a play like in A is just ridiculous. You can't do that. With the U, we can't go through this U. Anything else is not going to score very many points. Haunt is going to give up an S hook for Sam, and that's not something I can do. HAUTE I can do because I don't think that takes an S. If he bingos through this E, I don't care. He can still bingo underneath with like an ATE or INE word, so it's not actually as defensive as you would like to be. I'd like to put a consonant here if I'm playing there. BHUT is not the end of the world because if he plays butts, he's not going to get a double word with that. It won't score a lot. How many vowels are left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We can probably peg Sam to be holding 2 of those right now. So we've got 4 vowels left with 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 23 in the bag. 4 vowels out of 23. AENU is suddenly a decent thing to keep. I think the odds of Sam having a play down here are slim to none with the unseen tiles, or a good play down here at least. I am going to play butt, and we'll see what Sam can do. Whoa, more vowels. So even if Sam bingos now, he's probably going to have 7 consonants for the rest of the game. One of those situations where it's like, you think you're getting really unlucky because you're drawing a bunch of vowels, but you're actually getting really lucky because it means your opponent can't do anything. And then again, I feel like I'm one of the most optimistic players in the game, and that I'm able to find the silver lining in a lot of situations that come up, whereas other people would just complain. I don't have a lot of good options with this rack, but at this point I really don't care. Like, Sam is not in a good position right now. Some sort of play like EAU is something I can do. I do kind of want to make it harder for Sam to bingo. I think we can peg him for the A and the I now, given the way he's been playing, the way he's been fishing. If we go back and look at the previous moves, we can see, let's see, age, rid. Is it possible that rid held 5 consonants, or maybe 4 consonants and an O? I just don't really think so. If he's got a consonant-heavy rack, he's going here, or here, or here. He's not playing rid. So yeah, I really do think we can peg Sam for probably the A and the I, which means everything in the bag right now is consonants. If Sam does bingo here, you know, I just don't want to let him do that. So, you know, I haven't really considered that he could bingo to this Y. If he does that, it's going to score a lot. I can live a bingo here pretty much any time. I cannot live a bingo here very often. So I'm going to play EAU and just disrupt that spot as much as I can. If Sam wants to play like Narcissist or something right here, fine. I don't care. Maybe I should have considered holding one more of the vowels, because I'm basically restricting myself to playing 1 vowel a turn for the rest of the game. 0 or 1 vowels a turn, or else I'm going to end up with a bunch of consonants. But I wonder if Sam is the type of player to read a lot out of EAU. If he reads now that I'm sitting on a lot of vowels. Wasn't really expecting a play like that, but he made it. Let's see. I'm trying to find like potential things that Sam can play. Inwards is a bingo Sam can play. Just in the interest of safety, I'm not going to empty the bag here. There are like just a few possibilities he can still have. Maybe he can bingo from one of these tiles, although that's unlikely. A play like not or tot, tot, is something. It'll make his bingos here go away. Maybe if there's one that ends in like ARS or something, or but I don't see that. Let's think about the correct block to make instead of just blocking. Not seems a little bit more conducive, or a little bit better, just because it doesn't take the A back hook. There's also an N in the bag, and there's not a T in the bag. The T and N are both just as nice for going up here. I'm going to play not. We'll see what Sam wants to do. Oh, that's cool. Maybe, oh, Aldrin's was also a possibility. Maybe I blocked that. That would be nice. I know I've got the advantage of whatever Sam decides to fish, I will know what his rack is, and I'll be able to block that. So Gonna win the game unless he finds a really, really nice fish to make that gives him a bingo here and maybe a bingo from the E, and I'm not able to do anything about it. Possible bingos, possible sevens he can have in the pool. There's Aldrins available. There's N-words available. And I think that's it. I think that's it, yeah. So the only tiles that Sam could fish and pull a bingo are the W or the L. He can't fish either of them here. He can't. He can fish like EL, but that's not going to create a new bingo line. I don't think Sam can play either of those tiles and open a new bingo line. I don't think he can draw an 8 from this I. I don't think he can draw an 8 from this E. I don't think he can draw an 8 from this N. Maybe there's a ridiculous word through, but I sincerely doubt it. Most likely Sam is going to drop like a D right here and not draw bingo, and I'll win the game. Hey, what did I say? So yeah, he can't bingo with that rack. He probably had Aldrin's last turn, so it's nice that I did block it when I did. He's not going to bingo here. Let me just double check. AIILNR. I don't think so. Nope. Nope. So Sam is going to go out in 2 unless he like plays this endgame like a moron or autopilots the endgame or something. So I probably just want to. I don't think I'm going out in 2, not with CV, MPT on my rack all at the same time. KV's a nice play to get rid of some of this stuff pretty fast. I hold Mop for next turn for a bunch of points. I just don't. There's probably a way to go out in 2 with this stuff. Well, Tom is a bunch of points, but I hold that after I play KV too. I also hold KV after I play Tom. If I were a little bit less sure that he couldn't bingo from these tiles, I would play Tom, but I'm sure. I've got to be able to go out in 1. It's one of those situations where it's like, do I really want to think about this end game to milk a few points of spread, or do I just want to let my brain relax? My poem down here is still not going to give me an out. I'm just trying to find any play that plays off like 4 tiles right now. And given the way I've been shutting down the board the last few turns, I just don't think that's... Well, playing off 4 tiles, but only playing off 1 vowel. And I just don't think I can do that. Oh, I can play EPACT. MOV. I'm going to have to find a word with MOV, and I'm not going to be able to do that. I'm just going to play KV, and we'll go from there. I've got Tom available for 25, but I lose 6 points. I've got Palm available for 26, but I lose 2. So, or sorry, I've got Mop, not Palm. Mop is going to be 1 point better for me. So that's the end game sequence I want to be playing, unless Sam disrupts that. But I feel like Sam is just going to play Warns or something right here. The right thing for Sam to do, I guess, would be to hold this, because I cannot do anything about the God spot. So I think the right sequence for him to make is to figure out a word to hold here, like Warns or Whales or something, and play off the other 2 tiles, like ILL for 9, and then Warns out. hold the play that I literally can't block. He's not going to do that. He's going to score 31 points. ALRW, he's not going out with that. So now I got to count Tom, 25, it holds the P. What can I get for the P? Now I'm in a situation where I'm going out before Sam. So I can go 5 here. I can get 8 here. So 25 plus 8 is 33 total. I can play Mop, get 26. So this was 25, and 8 is 33. This is 26, so I'm going to have to get 7 for the T for this to be a better sequence. I don't think that's going to happen. Sam doesn't have a play up here. So I'll play Tom. Yeah, I'll play Tom. So again, the usual, if there's a play you're really interested in, I'd love to hear your feedback. Just comment on YouTube or whatever, and I'll definitely read it. Probably respond back to it too. Especially curious to see how people would play the end of this game, where I played Tritone, where I played QI if they would have played it in the other spot. Because how players play defense is always really interesting to me. How players play offense is kind of pedestrian. Like, maybe there's a setup that some people would make that others wouldn't. Maybe there's a slightly more aggressive play. But for the most part, open boards, you're just going to be playing equity. Closed boards, people get really different because there's not a program to tell them what to do anymore. And that's an aspect of the game I find fascinating. So would love to hear what you've got to say about that. Again, another example of me opening vertically and then winning the game. So just more anecdotal evidence supporting the opening vertically cause. If you're not doing it yet, you're doing it wrong. It is cool that I was out bingoed 2-1 and I won this game by a lot. Bingos are not all they're cracked up to be. I'm gonna go out with the key. And that's going to be the game. So thanks for watching, everyone. Hope you enjoyed it. Feedback's always appreciated. See you later.